Welcome back, Superpower Alliance. I'm so excited to have Ashley. Ashley Hampton is the co-director, co-founder of Hampton House, the group practice in Nashville. She is also the co-founder or director of Healing in the Margins. And Healing in the Margins is really what we're going to talk about today and what that represents and your story and all of that good stuff. But I'm just really grateful for your generosity with your time and just being with me and all the viewers that are watching us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yay. Okay, so I'm going to ask you the first question I ask everybody. And it's funny because when I ask therapists this question, they they know how to answer it. But when I ask non-therapists, I have to give them a lot of okay, here's what this means, and don't worry, you don't have to be too vulnerable. But essentially, the question is, what's your superpower? And for those of you that are just tuning in, maybe for the first time, when I say superpower, I'm not talking about your shiny skill, the thing that you put on your resume. What I'm talking about is what's something maybe that you have historically maybe hidden, but now and have integrated into your whole being, and it really informs your work or just like who you are. So how would you answer that question?
I think that my superpower is being able to show up authentically in any setting that I'm in.
Yeah. How'd
I
you get
think
there?
that it's a hard one and it's a lonely one and it's a scary one, but I think that everything good in my life that I have is because of that ability.
I mean, I already know that about my interactions with you. Seriously. I don't know what that took to get there, but I feel it. You're kind of I don't know if bold is the right word, but your ability to just be like, this is what I think. And there it is. It's refreshing. So I like your superpower.
It's refreshing, it's exhausting, it's all the things.
No, Ashley,
It's
refreshing.
true, though. It's true.
Well, I appreciate it about you. So I want to know, and I've actually never heard this, so this will be my first time hearing, but I would love to hear sort of the story of how you started healing in the margins. And while you're at it, for those that don't know what healing in the margins is, maybe give a little bit of a like an overview.
Yeah. So, Healing in the Margins is a nonprofit that is Tennessee based that my wife, Beth, and I founded and are the directors of. And Healing in the Margins mission is it's really simple, but very, very hard. And that is to create systemic change in mental health for LGBT and BIPOC folks. We do that through our partnerships with other clinicians. So sending them to advanced trainings, holding workshops. We also do that with clients having a therapy fund so that clients can gain funds to go to any therapist of their choosing. And then also the last way that we're doing that is through a program called Competency in the Margins, where we've developed a training and then I'm going back out into different organizations in the community and teaching best practices to reduce harm for our community. So that is what Healing in the Margins is. Yeah.
I love it. I'll say a little bit, just comment on that before you tell the story. But when I first heard about this, so Mimi Mangomba, who we both love, she was also a guest on Superpower Alliance. She's the one that told me about Healing in the Margins in Hampton House. And immediately, I go to your websites, all the things, and I was just so excited that it exists because it feels to me like a solution to a problem that I could not figure out. And I know it's not a solution meaning like end all be all, obviously, but it's an answer, and it's something that I'm like very proud of, to just to know that it's here and to, support you. So
Yeah, thank you.
amazing.
I think, what you just said though, I will carry that, because I do think that its inception has originated from a problem.
Right.
And it's a problem that I obviously experienced firsthand as a queer woman of color. But it's also what I've experienced now, having my counseling practice, Hampton House. And so, my wife and I also started Hampton House Counseling, and our mission has just been to be a BIPOC and queer space for therapists and our clients and
Yeah.
any people who want that space to exist. And so we've entered into that, where that's really what we do.
Mhm.
And as we were family planning and planning to have my baby, um, I was giving away a lot of clients, and I was sending clients to different people, different people out in the community, different people in my practice. And what I realized was that out of all of the BIPOC clinicians that work at Hampton House, I was the only one trained in an advanced trauma training.
Oh,
So everyone on our team that I could refer to for EMDR or brain spotting at the time was not a person of color. And that
mhm.
really bothered me.
Yeah.
Um, and I sat with it for a while, and I felt like, man, I thought we were doing something great. We're a safe space for these clinicians. This is what we do. And then I realized it's not good enough to hold space for us if you're not amplifying, if you're not supporting, if you're not building skills for them as well. And so um, I really started doing research on how do we make this happen? How can we help BIPOC therapists have as many resources and tools and skills as my colleagues? And that is really how healing in the margins ever even entered into my mind. It wasn't like it was a true lived experiential thing where the problem was so evident, and the solution as well. So that's how it started.
Isn't that how all good things happen?
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
feel the need, and this is so authentic. I mean, that story makes so much sense. And I really like, I think when you first explained healing in the margins to me, you talked about it being a three-prong approach. And so just knowing that story, that makes more sense too. Um, yeah, it's not enough.
Because it feels like such a systemic issue. It's like, if our community of BIPOC or queer folks are at higher risk of anxiety, depression, that means they need more therapy. They need more skillful clinicians. They need clinicians with advanced trainings. But we know that there is a racial inequity in the world that we live in. And so those therapists that are needed by that community, some of us, we just couldn't meet the needs. We couldn't do that work, and not because of anything other than privilege, honestly. And so it's like, how do we support therapists so that they can actually support their communities? How
Yeah.
do we help people in those communities afford those therapists? Because they both are very important. They go hand in hand. And then, because I'm a generous person, how do we help other people not do harm? I don't want to keep the change just within our community. I think that that wouldn't be fair either, because I think there are a lot of great people out there doing really good work who just need more education themselves, more skills and tools on what it means to do no harm to the BIPOC and LGBT community.
Right.
So that's kind of how it's all like made sense in our heads too.
Yes, yes, yes. Those are the three, like you said it in a more sort of descriptive way, but those are the three prongs. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the community, it's the therapist, and it's still the therapist, but it's the education piece,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Is that
yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Um, okay, so I know I'm not the only one that has like literally went over and over and over again, like, here's this issue. How do we give back, or how do we provide accessibility or have some kind of a solution, however you're kind of framing it in your head. But what would you say to a therapist that wants to give back in some way? Maybe not necessarily start a nonprofit, but like some kind of
I would avoid that because it's really, really hard.
I know.
I didn't know. Fun fact.
I know. But I mean, I think that that's common, right? That is a lot of therapists, we don't necessarily go into this field to become rich or to be famous or anything like that. But we also need to we're trying to walk this line of not burning out. And so just from your lived experience, what advice would you give to someone who's trying to figure that out? How do I give back, but also not burn out? Or is that even possible?
How do I give back and not burn out?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. I think that giving back looks so different in so many different ways, right? For us, we offer so many varieties for folks to give back through, lending your skill set, your expertise, and teaching us that. That's a way of giving back that I think is pretty life-giving for majority of people, and probably isn't gonna fuel that burnout so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think also, obviously, when folks donate to the nonprofit, and when folks do reoccurring donations to the nonprofit, that is helpful. And we found we had a benefit that was put on by 4 therapy practices here in town. And the call to action was, if every therapist here would consider donating just 1 therapy session a month, whatever they charge for therapy, just do that reoccurring to Healing in the Margins once a month. And we, throughout the entire year, were able to raise like over $24,000 just from people donating 1 therapy session. That helps us give people money to go back to therapy. So those reoccurring donations come in, and then we're able to pay their therapist. And so those therapists are not having to not make equitable, livable wages, right? They're able to see the clients that light them up. They're able to provide safe, representative care, and the clients win too. So I feel like a really tangible way of not burning out, but actually supporting your community, is by making some type of reoccurring donation, because that is incredibly impactful, especially at an organization our size.
I mean, that's the conclusion I came to. So I read this.
Oh, yay.
No, it is. I mean, when you first said, I don't know how to answer that, I was like, okay, there's your superpower. I love it. It's like, I don't know. Of course, it looks different for everybody, right? Like burnout is not, there's a lot of things that contribute to burnout. But I read a book called When Women Lead, and it was amazing. And through this book, this is what my takeaway was. Story after story after story after story of these women, and it leadership, like, think about all kinds of things, inventions, nonprofits, corporations, but all kinds of leadership, right? I just read all of these stories of these women like you solving problems, and in these incredible ways, stuff that you would never know because it doesn't make the news, because you're not, you don't know what's out there. And so after reading that book, I was like, oh my gosh, I just need to find this and like support it the best that I can. And so that was sort of my own answer to this. And I think maybe that's what you're saying, is maybe you tell me if this feels right, Ashley, like maybe it's not that you have to like, not charge, a certain rate or whatever, or start a nonprofit, or like maybe it's not quite like that, but if it's something that's already happening that makes sense and is like making meaningful change, it 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 is such a good feeling, and such a, it's like it's really rewarding to support and come alongside. And does that feel right?
Yeah, I think so. I think finding people who are already doing what you are passionate about doing and asking, how can we support you? What
Yeah.
is your biggest need right now? Because there are lots of needs for a young organization like ours,
Yeah.
from not just a funding standpoint, but also visibility, right?
Yeah.
Representation matters. And so as organizations like ours are growing and wanting to implement more programs and things like that, and go after grants, for example,
Yeah.
having community support, having community involvement, having folks know who you are. So it's interesting. It's like you don't become a therapist to be rich and famous, but it's almost like for a nonprofit to be successful, you kind of need to be. And I think that's so interesting. And
Yeah.
and that's what we're combating. We're coming in at this from this lens of, this is new, it's necessary, it's going to work. I have no doubt that healing in the margins is an answer for a lot of people. And we need that support. We need the representation. We need people. We need the newspaper writing about us, actually. Like that type of visibility makes a huge difference in what organizations get funded and which ones don't,
Wow.
from the government and from grant makers. And so yeah, it's an interesting space to be in. um
I don't think I would have known that, what you just said about.
yeah, I didn't either. Everyone said, become a nonprofit and people will just give you money. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Not true, actually. A lot of places that give grants, there's certain requirements. And it's interesting because most funders want women leaders, they want women of color leaders, they want social impact that matters. Are you addressing systemic racism? That matters, which obviously our organization is ding, 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 all of those things. But what people don't know is they want to know that you've existed for 3 years. They want to know that if you're applying for a $30,000 grant, you have $30,000 in the bank. They want to know that you are profitable without their grant. Which, I mean, sure, that makes sense. And if we're truly talking about systemic oppression and inequities, if I had $30,000 in the bank to help people, I wouldn't have started healing in the margins. And so that's what we're up against. And that's why having a benefit was huge. That's why our upcoming benefit in December is going to be huge, because the more money that we can prove that we can make significantly increases our likelihood of getting government assistance or funding assistance from any people who do that.
I'm so glad you're talking about this, because that, I mean, that also just kind of um yeah, it's even more motivating, and I want to know about this December thing. Don't forget.
Yeah, healing in the holidays.
Ooh, I
It's
love it.
gonna be amazing.
I know it will. I want to be there. Um, okay. So I can't wait to hear your answer to this. Obviously, we're up against so many systemic issues in our field. I'm talking about mental health, with lack of accessibility. Ashley, I see you as very positive and like just, I mean, realistic, but also like, let's go. So how do you do that? How do you, like, because obviously you see the systemic issues. How do you stay positive and keep moving forward?
Ugh. It's so interesting. I don't know that I view myself as a positive person.
Mm,
Um, I make people feel positive feelings,
mm,
but I don't know if I would say I'm a positive person. How do I stay motivated though? And how do I feel hopeful about what we're doing? I've been asking myself this question a lot. And I'm I'm teaching a course right now at Vanderbilt as an adjunct, and I have been sitting and talking about counseling diverse populations. That's the course, and we're talking about it. And um, as I am teaching that, what am realizing, I think that I've taught myself is there are not a lot of spaces that have been made for me to support me, so I've had to do it myself. So I don't necessarily feel like I'm doing a lot. I feel like I'm doing what I've had to do, which I understand that's not completely true, but in my spirit, in the way I carry myself, in my authenticity, there have not been many places that were safe for me.
yeah.
So I started my own small private practice and I grew that. And
Mm,
then I married someone who is gifted at everything. And she came alongside me and we created something else together. So I have a privilege because everything I have is mine. It's my I've worked to create it.
mhm,
And so that's energizing. I don't have anyone else telling me what something should be because it's of me. And that brings about so much responsibility.
mhm,
And then that makes me motivated. So it's my team. It's
mhm.
the therapists that work with me. They are the reason that I'm still in this building. It is not because I love being a therapist anymore. I'm burnt out. I'm over it. My clients, the few that I've kept, they know that. They know that one bad day and we're done. I mean, that's where I'm at. So I feel motivated by my community that I want to serve because I'm over it. And I don't think that any therapist 10 years in should be. It's like I'm good at my job and I had the potential of just being better, but I will never know because I'm over it. And so I want to fix that for other people. So my inspiration and what keeps me going is helping other people because I'm done. Like I've given up on myself.
Oh my gosh, this is so life-giving right now. I love your honesty. I can just imagine people listening to this conversation and laughing right alongside us and amen and me too. And like, wow, yeah. Hold on, I want to like go back though, because you said so much. Like one of the things I heard you say is, I don't know if you're feeling this, Ashley, but the sense that I get is it's like a very double-edged sword, right? Because you have there's so much like beauty in what you've had to do, to get here because you didn't feel safe. And so there's like you're proud. It's like, look at what I did, right? But then um and I think this is true for probably a lot of people in your shoes. It's like there's probably grief and pain there too.
You shouldn't have to.
Right.
Why am I the one? I'm not that smart. I don't even like working that much. Like I truly don't. Why am I the one who, is founding like the one of the first queer BIPOC group practices in
Right.
Nashville? Why am I the one saying there is a major mental health disparity for BIPOC and queer therapists and clients? Let's fix it. Why me?
Yeah.
I don't think I've had a privilege for it not to be, is kind of my answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's exciting and it's like weird. It's a weird position to be in because I never thought that I would take something like this on.
Mhm.
Um and it is the most rewarding part of my work days.
Mhm.
It is the
Yeah.
most life-giving and energizing work that I've gotten to do in years.
Yeah. 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 So it's just like all of that in one big bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard, I think that it's when people act, people say you're doing so much or it's so impressive or whatever. And I'm always want to be really honest about like, if someone else had already done it though, if someone else had already named this, if someone else had already created this, I wouldn't have.
Right.
There's not like, I don't have this, there's not this like, this is no, it's I don't want to work at all. Like if I could go live on an island and like drink coconut with my baby all day, done.
Um,
You know? So if I have to do it though, I want to do something that matters and that I have experienced personally that it would have changed my life had I had it.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're creating the thing you needed,
Yeah.
which, yeah, that's like exciting and sort of sad all at the same time.
Exactly. That's a great way of putting it. It is though. And I think that that's not that uncommon for many queer folks, for many BIPOC folks. We are having to reclaim spaces because systemically there have not been those places carved out for us. And I don't think and I'm excited and I'm thankful for those people because I don't think anyone else could do it. Some like it has to be people who, like you said, see the problem and truly understand it. I think so many people want to solve problems that they've never experienced for themselves. And
Mhm.
so we miss that really honest human part of it.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that's important to name too.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I have a question off the top of my head. It's not on my list. Have you,
Okay.
have you found other people who are leading similarly to you that you've been able to connect with and not feel so alone, or no?
I have a few folks who, yes, but no, I've never really had like a mentor. I've never really had someone who has, that's doing what I'm doing. No, I haven't. I've had folks who have supported me along the way. I've had folks who have offered resources or, how can I support you? How can I help you? But I've never had someone model what I'm doing,
Yeah,
which I think is also, it's a sad, that's really hard
right.
because you don't know, I, it's lonely. And
Yeah,
I feel like the older I get, the lonelier I get, which is weird because I'm surrounded by people. My job is people.
yeah,
Um, but I think that, yeah, no, I don't know other people doing what I'm trying to do.
yeah. I want that for you, you know.
Me too. If you know anyone, send them my way.
Maybe this,
I
maybe
I
this,
will take any mentors or
I mean, I think there's so, yeah, because it's like I'm imagining someone who would really get it in a lived way, and but also trying to make an impact in actual leadership, creating something, growing something like you are. And I think, yeah, I do think that's probably pretty common, the loneliness. Um, but anyways, yeah, maybe someone who's listening, anyone out there, maybe someone who's listening can, you can have some kind of a connection. Um, so the next question is sort of, I feel like you already alluded to it, but I have met your daughter. Is she 2 now?
no, she's 17 months.
Don't make her older than she is.
Like, no, she's still an infant. She's not.
She is the most beautiful. Oh, but yeah, so you're a mom, you've essentially you have the group practice and the nonprofit. You're doing this work with your beautiful wife. You know, there's just so much. Full, rich, all the things. How do you not lose your mind?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been exploring this lately. I think my um tolerance for like the most is pretty high. And I've been sitting with that. I think that like in all seriousness, um I think I have a pretty wide bandwidth that I live within. And that's probably from my upbringing, my conditioning. Um I we don't our child isn't in childcare yet. And so that has been very hard. And I don't want her to go yet. And so what has helped is our days are split up. So half of the day, I really truly have to put down the work and be a mom.
Yeah.
And that I think while it is exhausting because I'm doing so much in a day, like meaning so many different hats on in a day, when my child wakes up from her nap at 2, then I'm done. I have to show up for her. She
Yeah.
wants to go outside. She needs an activity every afternoon. So I got to caffeinate and I got to I got to put my phone down because she's very mobile and very independent and she will just walk off. She's not afraid to leave my side. So she's gone. So I feel like that I have a forced balance. And also I really, truly, I don't value work that much. I value my life way more. Like I truly, truly value having fun, rest, relaxation, outdoor time. So I do the work because I have to, not because I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I do obviously want to, like, obviously I wouldn't be doing, but I think that that helps me. My wife would have a totally opposite answer and she would say, I'm drowning and I don't feel like a sane person and this is terrible and we need more support. And our cat, she would feel differently. So I do want to name that I do think that I'm different. I think I'm a high energy person. I like a lot of variety.
I feel like we should just get Beth, just bring her in. I just would love to.
Oh, it would if you did them side by side, it would be totally different. And it's because our lived experiences are totally different. And I get to talk about the work. I get to brainstorm about the work. I get to facilitate the work. She has to make it happen. She has to hold it. She has to contain it. She has to create it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be happy if I were her either.
Yeah. Yeah. So just for those of you that don't know, she's the director of operations for both Hampton House and Healing in the Margins. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, she is. And I mean, with both, she runs the program. So she's working within the community. She's working with our clients. She's doing the bookkeeping. I mean, she truly does it all. And honestly, I don't know how she does it. And I'm constantly very concerned about her more so than me because she has to look at a computer and spreadsheets and I get to talk to you. It's not fair. It's not a fair trade-off, but I don't know. I don't think she's figured it out yet. So I'm just not telling her. It's not that bad.
Don't tell her. Oh my gosh. Okay. Um, let's just say that someone's super ambitious, listening in another state, right? And they want to start something, they get inspired by this conversation and want to start something like Healing in the Margins in their area. What would you say to them? What's your advice? What should they be thinking about?
In everything that I start, I always look for people who are doing something that I would like to do but doing it better than I think I could. And
Yeah.
I just ask for insight, advice, support. I think I would have asked what the barriers are for a new organization. I think, but at the same time, if I knew them, I wouldn't have started it. So I think that is important though. And I think really looking at what the intention is behind what you're doing. Funding for therapy is really hard to do.
Right.
What I have found though is folks are inspired by what we're doing with the clinicians, what we're doing with the community. That seems to excite people more than funding people's therapy.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, it is. I don't think a lot of places are like funding therapy funds. And so getting creative on what your goal is and really what your intention is behind what you're doing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So talk
at
to
the
me.
starting part, I mean, oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, no, no. You keep going. I was going to summarize, but keep going.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say that, like, I connect with people who are already, I connected with people who had nonprofits that I respect or that I already worked with. And I asked them how they did it, what they did. And I relied heavily on their input,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
even though it's not exactly what we're doing. You've done this, you've got this. Can you help me?
But it's a
Yeah,
starting.
there's the humility there too, of just like, show me how. Let
Right.
me,
I
let me
don't.
bring my piece of paper and just like, you know,
Right. 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 Yeah, and it's interesting because you're saying there are things that you could not have known, even with asking all the questions. Like there are things you had to learn the hard way, and maybe that would have kept you from even doing it.
I totally wouldn't have done it. Like, there's no could have, maybe. No, I wouldn't have. But here we are, and it's going great.
Well, do you mind speaking to some of those things? Like, what are those things that you had no idea?
Well, the funding, if I knew that we couldn't get grant funding for 3 years, that's
Right,
that's a big deal.
right.
I mean, I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
Um, and maybe we can. I'm not giving up all hope, but also there is the true issue is folks want what I am without ever truly supporting and sitting with the support we need to offer what we're offering.
Mm,
So if you want a Black led nonprofit, but you expect them to have large sums of money, how are you truly supporting Black led nonprofits?
hmm.
I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, sorry, go on.
Well, when you said folks want what I am, but I think what I'm also hearing is without like really getting it and setting with me and feeling it and like, am I getting that?
It's like in supporting it and holding it and truly supporting.
Yeah.
It's like it looks really great to have like brown people on anything that you're doing, but
Yeah.
what are you doing to truly support them?
Yeah.
What are we doing to say, some of these rules are going to be big barriers for people that we say we want to help. Maybe we should look at the rules for that.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's like it looks good. Everybody likes the idea of it, the look of it. But what you're experiencing is when it comes down to actually making an impact and getting what you need to do that, like there's a huge disconnect.
Yeah, and there's a huge turnover. That's why they want to see how long you've done it. Well, of course there's a huge turnover because Beth and I are privileged,
Yeah.
which is it almost feels it doesn't feel true to say. But
Right.
Beth and I are privileged that we haven't had to take a salary from Healing in the Margins this year. Everything we've done for this organization has been no salary.
Mm-hmm.
With that, though, you have to look at that as it's taking up time, it's taking up resources that we don't have, where does that come from? So
Yeah.
we can't do this work forever for free. There's no way. We've been very lucky that we've been able to because we have another job, we have another business
Yeah.
of marginalized people that we try to support and care for, which is just as challenging.
Right.
So most folks can't do that. Most folks can't not have an income for years and years and do the work. We've been very lucky that the community has been receptive. We've been very lucky that we've been able to raise money and that we're getting a good, you know, a little bit coming in every single month to support our programming.
Yeah.
But there is a reality of if we can't get more funding, we can't work for free forever. It's too much. I mean, it's hard work.
Yeah.
It's harder than Hampton House. It's harder than being a therapist. It's harder than both. It's harder than being a supervisor and a therapist and a practice owner. It's harder than that.
Wow.
It's just not, because you're relying on other people. There's nothing I can do sometimes.
Yeah.
That's really hard.
Oh gosh. I feel the weight of that as you say that.
I kind of did too.
You're like, dang. I mean, when you compare it to all the other hard things and you say this is actually harder, you know, I feel the weight of that. I mean, and yet it's like so important,
Yeah. It
right?
is so important and it's so exciting because I feel like this is it for me. Like, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm meant to do. I'm going to I feel that.
Wow.
Uh, and I'm transparent about the struggle in it. And it's an entire whole other industry. It's a different world
Yeah,
that I
right.
don't really know. I still don't know that much about. I'm still learning. We're still learning.
Mhm.
Um, and it's been really cool to see the impact we've made. And just when we're not even officially a year old yet. And we've sent therapists to trainings. We have people right now who are able to go to therapy because of healing in the margins. It is truly exciting what we're doing, and it's working.
Yeah.
And I'm hungry for it to work better, more. I
Yeah.
want more always.
Um, yeah, I love this because it's like it's both the weight and the significance and the importance, and then it's what's already happening. And to hear you say, this is it for me. I'm meant to do this. You know, that I'm like, okay, when's your book coming out? Like,
I feel a book. Come on. I'm so sick. I feel sick of hearing myself sometimes. Like, I don't even want to post on Instagram anymore. I'm like, I have nothing else to say. I'm like,
stop.
everything I have to say, I've said.
No.
I feel that often.
So I don't know. Somebody, you need a different set of eyes because you have so much to say. Your voice is so important. So important. I mean, I'm really grateful to know you. I'm so grateful for what
Same.
you're doing, truly. So keep putting yourself and everything out there because we need you, Ashley. The world
Well,
needs you.
here we are.
Here we are. Okay, so for real though, if someone
For
wants
real though.
like this is like let's make this not just a conversation. If someone wants to help and support, what's the best way? And for those that are listening that are local, let us know about the December thing you're talking about because that's actually
Yeah.
not that far away.
Yeah, I know. December 1st, we are going to have an event called Healing in the Holidays. It's going to be a benefit concert. There will be stories and music from some special folks. TBD on their names, but it's pretty exciting. And we are, the idea is going to be how do we make healing happen all year long? So there will be opportunities for folks to sponsor that event. There will be opportunities for folks to buy tickets for that event. And that's huge. One thing that is year round, again, that reoccurring donation matters.
Right.
Whether it's $10 or $150 or any, really any amount, it makes a huge difference because money coming in is money that we can then send out to people who need therapy or who need this training so that they can work with these people. So the donation's huge. And then
Ashley, I want to say something because I've heard this before and I'm sure you're going to agree the consistency is really important, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, they
just
want to know. Yeah. Funders want to know what are you going to make this year?
right.
What are your goals? Like, what is your budget and how are you going to make it? And so consistency matters. One large lump sums are always great.
Sure.
And that consistency is what really keeps the operation going.
Yeah.
It's what keeps clients able to go see their therapist. Those
Right.
reoccurring donations really open that door for us in a way that large lump sums it didn't at the beginning.
Right.
So consistency matters. All of that is on healinginthemargins.com. That's our website. You can sign up there for donations. And also for folks in our community or in the mental health community, we do offer those workshops. We have an amazing competency in the margins workshop that's open to everyone. It's on domestic violence and what that looks like in relationship by Ashley Cathy. So getting involved in that way, coming to the workshops, if you're a member of the BIPOC or LGBT community, every month we're offering workshop. I think you're doing one in November.
Yeah.
So I think like that's huge. It's that building that community. The more folks we impact, the more people we're able to impact, right? It's like not only does consistency matter, but they want to see that what you're doing is impactful. So when people come to the workshops, that helps us as we are trying to secure other funding because they see the value, because they can see how many people we've helped. If that makes sense, how many people we're touching. So consistency matters, coming to workshops matters, donations matter, and any type of publicity, marketing, letting people know we exist matters.
Okay, that's so helpful. I'm gonna put all the links in the show notes, and in the big email that I send, letting everybody know that the recording to this conversation. Anything that you want to say that you didn't get to say? Any last words, Ashley?
Last words. I mean, I can always come up with last words. No, I think that I appreciate the space to have this type of conversation. I think that if we truly want to live in a healthier, safer society, we have to actively pour into communities that are the most vulnerable, and that is our BIPOC and our LGBTQIA plus community. And I think that if we can all do that, if we can support people who have been some of the first to come along or some of the onlys in their environment, we truly can create safety and change. And I think that healing in the margins is a big part of that. And so I'm always appreciative of the opportunity to talk about the work that we're doing. Because it is what I think is going to like make huge change in our world, my world, the world of folks who look, love, and move like me.
Look, love, and move. Oh,
I know. I think I'm gonna like trademark that or something. I don't know if you do that, but that's like my thing
do
because it
it.
matters. I think I never learned in school from any one of those three things. I
Right.
didn't. So therefore, I didn't know how to truly hold my community as a therapist. That led to burnout. Now my therapists get to learn from each other on how to show up for their community in their communities.
Mhm.
That is the work of truly repairing and creating safety. And so I think it matters. Like representation matters. Being in community with people who look, love, and move like you, it facilitates growth and change and healing. Yeah.
Boom.
Boom.
Thank you so much. It's been,
Thank you.
just a delight. I appreciate you. And for those listening, tune in, more to come, always good stuff. Please spread the word. So important. Healing the margins, give healinginthemargins.com. Yeah.
Yeah, that's us.
Bye for now.
All right.